Hi, I'm Evie Keating, editor of Identity.net. I'm speaking today with Will Creeth, who's CEO of Hand and founder of a talent identity provenance automation company, which is focused in the gaming and the entertainment sphere with regards to building an identity framework which verifies real individuals and their virtual counterparts. We're going to delve a bit more and explore what it is you do in the realm of identity. But first of all, what are the aspects of innovation with Hand Identity? What do you offer? What's your proposition? And
Well, thank you, Evie. Hand is a B2B talent ID registry in beta right now under the authority of the Digital Object Identifier Foundation. We are offering a B2B SaaS, subscription as a service, API and web UI service for our beta customers and eventually our commercial customers in 2024. And we are identifying three things in our talent ID registry: the legal person, legal human identity, their virtual connected virtual identity, a digital twin of that legal person, and also fictional characters. So it's like a three-part triad of the legal, the virtual, and the fictional in performing arts and sports. So that gives us a broader remit into not just virtual talent from entertainment, but also in sporting leagues and federations of professional athletics.
And why is it useful to create a digital twin, if you like, of a real, because I know you do it for real public figures, as opposed to private figures? Why is that important, and why do you do it for exclusively public figures?
Right. Well, I mean, there's different laws that cover public versus private individuals, but we're not actually creating the individuals themselves. So we're working with partners. Our beta partners are from some of the partners we announced last Friday at IBC here in Amsterdam, or nearby in Amsterdam. Wild Capture and the Scantruck are volumetric photogrammetry companies that work with Hollywood talent and studios and agencies to through 3D scanning, motion capture of actors. And one of the things they're keenly interested on, Evie, is the ability to track the instantiation, the version of that digital twin of themselves, because ostensibly, and it makes perfect sense, over time, they may want to have a higher resolution, a different version, and that versioning of those digital twins will become an issue if you can't assign a machine-readable identifier to it. We identified this potential challenge or problem a couple of years ago in that we thought that there's ultimately a day in which we see the similar story to where the video game industry has landed over the years, and that is you've got real-world people running around, shooting baskets, kicking balls in virtual games for Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo Switch and what have you, different consoles and different game environments, sanctioned and authorized by leagues and federations. And also in the gaming industry, then they have the initial struggle of the player table from season to season, from game version to version, the 23, 24, 25 version of the game. You're going to have lots of different iterations of the talent, of the sports talent in the application. And so we thought that versioning was going to become a big issue, because where I come from, which is the Entertainment ID Registry, I was executive director for 2 years, Hollywood was keenly concerned with version control, or also version identification, persistent, unique identification for, let's say a film, a major Hollywood film would have a Hollywood theatrical release, and there'd be a release for airplanes and a release for television, and a release for the director's cut, localization, languages, subs and dubs, all the different iterations of a movie or a television series or season or episode creates a panoply, a plethora of all kinds of identifiable objects that need to be persistently and immutably labeled over time, so that you can keep track of them and saying, I'm going to look this up, but I don't want to deal with the French translation or the Spanish wording of the title. I want the number behind the property so that we understand exactly what is its provenance. Can I trace it back to, is it a remake of another film? So versioning is big in the filmed and video-based entertainment world, and it's also big in the gaming world. But it's about the talent. It's about the ability to identify correctly with vectors of attribution, ways to attest to the authenticity of the talent and the provenance as to where it comes from. What studio, what network, what management company, what organization is the interested party behind the talent, working with the talent, and perhaps providing assistance to the talent.
And you've still got to kind of comply with data protection here. Is data protection as important for virtual identities as it is for authenticating real people in other scenarios, more common scenarios, across banking? This is what the conference is looking at. It's looking at so many scenarios where you're authenticating real people. I'm just interested to hear how those regulations and compliance works in this scenario.
So I want to say up front also that we are distinct in that, and I think we touched on this a little bit earlier, we are a public identifier for public figures. So we're not a identifier for user identity, e-verification, single sign-on, authentication of identity and access management, IAM. We're talent identity. And in that, what is different about talent identity? Well, one thing, talent has to be notable. It has to have credits. It has to have citations of notability. And under what we call citation-backed notability, it's the concept that, much like in the acting, the Screen Actors Guild, in the US, actors cannot join the guild without credits. There's already a precedent of a meritocracy in place where you may have the 3,000 or so US dollars it costs to join the organization to get your actor's card, but to join the union, but you can't do that without a body of work, demonstrably real evidence of your working in the industry. And so the credits are super important, but it's also that is there a talent database built to the requirements of the industry? And that was not the case. When I was running the Entertainment ID registry between 17 and 19, we were approached by one of the world's largest talent agencies, that's Creative Artists Agency, CAA, asking if we could replicate what we did for content identification, for film and TV title identification. They asked, could you do it for talent above the line credits? And above the line means your writers, your actors, directors, producers in Hollywood. So those are the first credits that are on the movie poster or as the credits come up in the movie, or at the beginning of the movie, you see the main players, the main characters, the main people involved in the film as portraying the roles of fictional characters. And we said to CAA, we'd love to do that, but right now financially we're a little stretched at that time, and between 18 and 19. And everyone knows in 2020, the pandemic came along, people changed jobs, the industry moved on. In 2021, I was well out of the EIDAR orbit, but still quite friendly with them, and still to this day am. And I asked my colleagues in the industry, I said, did anyone ever do the talent identifier concept? And the answer was no. The second question I had was, do we still need that thing? And the answer was, yes, we still need that thing. That set me on a path to create Hand, Human, and Digital. And when I talk about the name of the company, Human and Digital, it's intentional. From the beginning, we decided that you had to honor both the essence of human creativity and also the right and the agency of the human to license a digital version of themselves and to have some level of authenticity tied back to their legal person. So we describe that as both is better, both the human and the digital instantiation of the talent is an important factor in our approach to how we built our ontology, how we built our data schema, how we built our data stack, and how we operate as a company in relating with the customers we hope to attract as a subscription service.
Kind of leads into my next question. Have you considered any precautions, especially when you were, coming up with the concept of this company, to prevent the technology and the concept itself from being misused in any way?
Absolutely. So again, as a public identifier, we're not a cybersecurity or a enforcement or a regulation body. We're providing an attestation of authenticity about a real person and their the abstraction of their virtual self. If that is used in commerce and they want to activate that, they can. We foresee a world where there's going to be a public identifier on the one hand and a private or an encrypted identifier paired in a two-factor or key value pair to connect them together for potentially a blockchain smart contract, for a multi-party transaction. But having a public identifier gives you that sense of attribution, those attestations of authenticity I mentioned, to say, I know your customer moves into KYT, know your talent, KYC, KYT, and knowing where the attribution comes from and being able to provide linkable, resolvable data, because it's all about resolvability. What the hand identifier provides the industry through the DOI Foundation is a ISO level identifier that is freely resolvable. That is, it can be used in workflows and can be traced back to the lookup, just like a DNS lookup of an IP address. You look up a website with a name, it resolves to a number, the number resolves back to the name you typed, and then you return the results through the HTTP call. So what we provide is that free to resolve persistence, which is ostensibly in perpetuity through the DOI Foundation, to say we're here for the long haul to provide reliable source of resolvable IDs, freely resolvable. They do 1.3 billion ID resolutions per month across the 12 different DOI registration agencies around the world right now.
It's really interesting. I can't wait to listen to your session, actually. It's very different to the other sessions I think we have at the conference. What challenges, industry challenges and themes will you be addressing in your presentation?
I think we'll be addressing the challenge of building a kind of a data set large enough and to the needs of our customers, and listening to our customer base as to what they need with regards to legal talent identification, licensed virtual talent identification, and also the universe. And it's a massive universe of fictional characters we hope to bring in to ingest and offer up as DOI level ID identifiers. So the challenges, I think, are in scaling a little bit. It's also in providing a way for third parties who want to pair with us, that they may have another encrypted identifier that creates a greater assurance and trust in the model, so that we can serve under reasonable and non-discriminatory licensing terms, RAND licensing, the ability for any company that wants to access the hand talent database as a subscriber, the ability to do so, and also that across the industry, the network effect becomes, when ubiquity is achieved, you're used in transactions and commerce throughout the industry as the best publicly available identifier for talent.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for talking with me today. I look forward to that session, which is at Identity Week America, 3rd and 4th of October, coming up in 2 weeks. Really excited to be there and meet you in person.
Sounds great, Evie. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate being here with you to talk about this, in hopefully more than just intriguing, but valuable concept.